All right, welcome back. Draft America, episode 2, week 2 of the NFL. Just finished up, well, tonight as we're recording this. We have the young quarterbacks just struggling a little bit. Ravens fall to Gardner Minshew, and a pass interference call, crucial pass interference call, decides Cincy versus Kansas City. We're going to talk about those three things. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's go. All right, 5 minutes on the clock. Let's get started. We're going to start with the Ravens falling to Gardner Minshew and the Raiders. This is the first time, I think, since 2015 the Raiders have started the season 0-2, and the first time it's been a long time since the Raiders started 1-1. I don't know. I saw some weird stat about that. But yeah, the Ravens reeling a little tough schedule, I think, to open the year against Kansas City, and then you have a little bit of a trap game, I guess, with the Raiders. You think they overlooked them a little bit?
Um, yeah, I think it's possible, but I just think they have a lot of problems that they didn't really address, and they lost their defensive coordinator. Defense looks very mediocre. Got exposed in a lot of aspects against Kansas City. Jackson, it's not on him. I mean, it's a little bit on him, but they don't have great receivers, and they don't have a good offensive line at all. I mean, they've had to face two of the best pass rushers in the league first couple of weeks, but this was a problem for them last year, and I would have thought they'd have been more aggressive in free agency trying to shore it up, and they didn't. And they have an uphill battle now. They're gonna face Michael Parsons this week.
Yeah, it's a big one, and I mean, at 0-2, I feel like you always, like the rest of the year, it feels like you're kind of clawing back, right? Like when you start 0-2, there's always that stat of what, like 10% of teams make the playoffs if you start 0-2, some crazy number like that. And those two losses, if you think about good teams, you're only losing, what, 5 games in the year, maybe 6. So you have 15 games to go. You can only lose 3 of them. That's a really uphill climb, and now you got to go face the Dallas Cowboys, who, I don't know, are they mid or are they not? I mean, we don't even know now.
I don't know. I mean, giving up 44 at home to the Saints, maybe the Saints are good. A lot of these first few weeks is like figuring out and then retroactively looking like, well, but then it's like, okay, well, the Lions lost to the Bucks, and everyone was like, well, they beat the Rams, a big deal, but then the Rams got killed. So maybe that actually means not that the Rams are even, well, maybe the Rams are bad, but maybe the Lions aren't that good because they beat the Rams, who actually aren't. It's like all these like mental gymnastics that you're trying to do, and you're trying to figure out like what's real, what's not, what's perception. But Dallas, I mean, I don't know, like how many years can Dallas mentally withstand just not making the NFC Championship game and wasting good seasons?
Yeah. Um, Jerry Jones. I guess we'll talk a little bit about the Cowboys. Jerry Jones. I mean, is this his all in? Is this all he's got? Because he's discussed how this might be like one of the last teams. These guys are going to be the guys that he'll have up until his quote death. I mean, is this all he's got? Because this is crazy. I mean, usually Dallas kicks ass in that for those first 6-7 weeks. I think we talked about it last week with our bets on Chaotically Intolerant, where we were like, okay, Dallas is kind of a lock early in the year, but clearly just
Doesn't it
not.
feel like Dallas is 0-2, but they're not? They won in Cleveland week 1, so it's not like, I mean, they had a terrible game Sunday, but I mean, they're still like they are 1-1. I don't know. But yeah, it feels like what moves are there left? I mean, it was like they were going to get Belichick. That was going to be a thing, and
Yeah.
they were going to, I don't know, maybe they try to woo Tom Brady out of retirement, but I don't know. I like what Michael Strahan said last year. At some point, I think when they lost to the Packers, it was just like, it feels like they're more of a sideshow than a real football team. And they don't have that. There's too much glitz and glamour and not enough grit and toughness and underdog mentality.
The age of the internet, I think, is really does have a hand in that, and I think maybe that is a mainstream take. I don't know, but the internet probably killed the Cowboys. I feel like because it's kind of like you want to point at Buffalo with Dion, and Dion, a former Cowboy. All they care about is social media, according to Colorado State, of course. But
Buffalo and Dallas, they were the teams of the 90s. Well, I mean, kind of, and at least in their respective conferences there for half a decade. I
I
don't
meant
know.
the Buffaloes. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Colorado
Oh,
Buffaloes.
oh, I thought you
But
meant
you can
Buffalo.
make that
Well,
connection as well. Buffalo,
you
Buffaloes,
make the Buffalo Dallas connection, yeah.
All right, let's move to our next topic here. Young quarterbacks. Whoops. Young quarterbacks. They struggle this weekend, I think, to say the least. We'll start with the Indianapolis Colts. We'll start with Anthony Richardson. Not good. I'm gonna say that wearing my Colts shirt. Not good. The run defense was god awful, and they did kind of lock up towards the end of the game. It seems like they did change their scheme up a little bit. Thank God Gus Bradley figured that one out. But Richardson he looked like a quarterback that's only played 18 games since high school. Very, very clearly. He just looked raw. And again, this is what I expected. Some Colts fans are already going ugly early. But from what you got to see, because you were watching the Ravens game, I assume, fuck,
Yeah.
damn it. Why does the internet always do this? Let's pause this. Hold on, can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
I don't know why my internet is doing this. Okay. Uh, yeah. What did you see there? I guess with Colts Packers, if anything.
Didn't see much. I was surprised they lost to Malik Willis. I don't know what Richardson's excuse was, but he didn't have to throw a football with regurgitation on it. So um, I, I don't know. I'm surprised the Colts didn't really put up more of a fight. I mean, you had a team playing with almost like a running back at quarterback, and um, I think it's a bigger deal for the Packers to get this win actually without Jordan Love. But I don't know. I'd be concerned if I was Indy because, like, okay, losing it's tough 2 games. I'm not saying it's like they didn't play, you know, the Panthers the first 2 games,
Yeah.
but probably a little concerning, especially because they look like they aired it out a little bit against Houston and then didn't get much out of the passing game against Green Bay when Philadelphia did. I don't know if that was the field in Brazil or whatever, but yeah.
Uh, Michael Pittman said it best. He said we're not getting the little things, which that is absolutely true. If you look at Richardson's numbers, they're almost equivalent to last week.
Yeah, well, the accuracy, I mean, he only completed half his passes and threw 3 interceptions and
Yeah.
41.8 QB rating. I used to look at the QB rating. It used to be a cool thing to me growing up. But, I mean, defensively, like, talk about efficient, though. Willis was 12 for 14 for, I mean, only 122, but
He looked good. I would say maybe not like awesome, but he looked serviceable. And they were talking about how it's kind of changed his mentality going into Green Bay as well.
I just can't get that image out of my head of him with Tennessee. I think it was last year or the year before where he was playing the Chiefs on Sunday night and like they couldn't throw. They had to basically run the
Yeah.
entire game. And he just went every time he
Hmm.
dropped back to pass, they one where they got sacked like 3 times and they had like a 4th and 28 in overtime or something. So
And
I
it
don't know,
worked,
but
right?
credit
Did
to
they win that game?
who, the Titans?
I think didn't the Titans win that game?
No, no, they lost. They had a lead, and it went to overtime. They have beaten the Chiefs in the regular season, but that was a little further back. But well, actually, no, they beat him the year before. But that when Mahomes got like a concussion or whatever. But no, I mean, point being, yeah, Malik Willis. Yeah, I mean, they almost pulled that game out, not because he did anything, but I mean, it's crazy. The Colts had 7.8 yards per carry, and I know Richardson had 37 on 4 carry, but Taylor had 12 for 103.
And he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter, I think. Shane Steichen said we were throwing the ball and we had no plays drawn up for him. Your best player on the team. Why would he not be on the field? Explain that, Shane.
Right.
You're trying to come back. That's like not putting Henry I mean, obviously you have Lamar not putting Henry in the game in a fourth down situation, or in a fourth quarter situation. Doesn't make sense. Will Levis, hilarious little fumble there.
Yeah.
He's got to learn to take a sack. He is the Carson Wentz, the new Carson Wentz of that.
And then Bryce Young, I mean, oh my God.
Benched, done. Poor guy, doesn't even have a shot.
Maybe should have done that. We've seen a few quarterbacks have success not playing their first year. It's easy to throw guys into the fire, thinking that that could work. Because I think Troy Aikman played on a 1-15 Cowboys team before they became their early '90s dynasty, and but it's sad. I mean, they're turning to Andy Dalton. What is this year 14 for Andy Dalton? I think,
Good for
which
Andy. The
maybe he's
Red
the number on his
Rocket.
jersey. Um, they are bad. I mean, they are just. It's yeah. I mean, I always had a soft spot for the Panthers growing up. The 2003 Panthers were one of my favorite all-time teams, and now this.
All right, and then the last quarterback we'll mention, Jaden Daniels, the Commanders kicked 7 field goals.
Mm.
Love to see that. Love seeing kickers get the love, and the Giants also didn't have a kicker, so the Commanders took kicking for both of them. They took their field goals for both of them. Jaden Daniels just kind of struggled. What would you even chalk this up to? Just early season. I think that's all you can really say.
I get, yeah. I mean, I think like even if you're playing a bad team early in the year, but you get a win, you're a team that didn't win a lot of games last year, like Washington. I think it's good for it's good for the confidence of a young quarterback. So I think Dable's got to answer questions because I don't know. They just started going for two. They left a lot of points on the field there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, and then the final topic of the day, a pass interference call decided Cincy versus KC. People are upset. They say that the Cincinnati defender had the right to the ball. First off, I think this is the first time a lot of people are learning of that rule, that a defender does have the same right to a ball as a wide receiver, because now everyone's just using that in every single comment section. That's the copy and paste explanation. You can't run through the back of a player. You can't,
right.
and especially coming up, hitting his helmet, impeding on his ability to catch the ball is blatant pass interference. And you have to call that. Like people are saying, oh, you don't have to call that. You don't want to make this game decided by that. Come on. It's the rules. These are the rules.
Almost made me think. I mean, it wasn't the same scenario. There was a playback. You got to go watch this clip in 1998. The Bills were playing the Patriots, and the Patriots threw like a Hail Mary, and they called pass interference. They put the ball at the one. The Pats scored, and the Bills stormed off the field. And
Oh
so
yeah, and they
Vinatieri
run for
ran
2. Yeah.
the ball in. Yeah. I mean, look, I think a lot of people wanted to see the Chiefs lose. I think it was pass interference. Like the guy made contact before the ball got there.
Yeah.
It's just, I think my dad said it best today when I talked to him. He said, the Chiefs have a horseshoe up their ass right now. I mean, everything is going their way. I had a funny moment. I was at a bar watching some of that game, and right there was a play where Kelsey caught it and he tried to lateral. There was a flag, and I said, "Okay, show Taylor, then show the flag." And they show her cheering, and then they show the flag, and they didn't cut back to her after that. I mean, the same. The Bengals are kind of plagued by this. Like Burrow didn't have a ton of time. When Chris Jones and the D-line needed to make plays, they did. The fumble, oh my God, you cannot lose the game on that. We always say it never comes down to one play. And never put the game in the hands of the officials, and it never is truly one play. Fumbling for a touchdown after an amazing, what was the guy's name with that interception? That was like Odell Beckham.
Cam Taylor
showed
Britt.
that highlight. What's that?
Cam Taylor Britt is his
Cam
name.
Taylor Britt, and 3 names. John Wilkes Booth. That was a great interception. And they did nothing. Yeah.
They're starting to call him CTB just like OBJ. It was his best OBJ impression, and that made me think back to being a middle schooler on the football field, like, just messing around with your friends and constantly yelling, Odell me, like putting your finger in the sky and saying Odell me, trying to recreate it, doing our best. That just brought back so many memories.
Well, and good teams always find ways to score off turnovers, make the opposition pay. Not only did the Bengals go three and out, the third play was a fumble return for a touchdown. So
Yeah,
I don't know. But Pacheco's out 6 to 8 weeks, by the way. That's not
that's a big one.
insignificant.
I think they're
It's,
looking
it's
at Hunt, Kareem Hunt.
sure, bring him back. Didn't they bring back Smith Schuster too?
Yeah, they did. I saw him standing on the sideline, and I was like, "What the fuck is that guy doing there? What is he doing here?"
Yeah, well, they brought back what's the guy that caught the winning touchdown, Hardman last year. They were talking about maybe bringing back Jerick McKinnon. I mean, it's what these teams do because these guys don't really have a lot of success elsewhere. They sort of just fit into that system.
Hmm.
Chiefs' schedule's tough though coming up. I mean, they have Atlanta. I think that's not really that tough. Chargers division game's always interesting. Although Mahomes never loses to them on the road. They get the Saints at home on a Monday night. And I don't know if they have a bye after that or maybe I'm missing a game. I'm doing this off the top of my head, but they have the 49ers on the road. So we'll see what they're made of, and we'll see if the Pacheco injury affects them. But yeah, I mean, just 4th and 16. It's just that's the worst part. I think if Mahomes had just gone right down the field, kicked the field goal, you're like, all right, it's just
Didn't
and
when he dropped back, didn't you just know they were gonna get it? Like I was watching it and I was like, as soon as he dropped back, I was like, oh, they're gonna get this. They're gonna find a way to get it, whether by penalty, completed pass, some ridiculous double lateral bullshit. I just knew, I could feel it in my soul. I was like, they're
yeah.
getting this first down. They're gonna win the game.
Well, I just felt like at some point Mahomes had to beat Burrow in the regular season. It's like every box that the Chiefs need to check, they check. And this is what football is so tough. I mean, you watch baseball, it's like you have a one-run lead, 3 outs. It's not like, oh, okay, maybe a big hitter's coming up, but you just need 3 outs. But in football, it's like, oh my God, Mahomes has the ball and they're down by four, they're down by two, and they need to feel like, okay, he's gonna score. It's just like inevitable, unless they're playing the Colts, I
Hmm.
guess. But uh,
That's
maybe
true.
thinking of that one game where he threw the interception, they were right around midfield, but.
Well, yeah, when Chris Jones said something mean to Matt Ryan,
Right. To Matt
he
Ryan.
said
Right.
he insulted him and he got a penalty for it
Yeah.
because you can't insult old ass Matt Ryan. You can't insult him.
I think that was all
I
because
was
I took the Chiefs in my survivor that year. I'm already out with the Ravens, unfortunately. So,
oh,
yeah. So
that's the
just,
second. This is the first time I think that the two biggest underdogs have won back to back, like the opening weeks, because the Raiders and the who won last week, the Patriots, were
Patriots,
the two
both
biggest
AFC North.
underdogs of the week. I think.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Should have just
the
picked
Raiders
against
were
the
eight,
Panthers.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Going against Carolina is the safe bet. That would have been the
Yeah,
way to go.
yeah. And then shout out Akeem Davis Gaither, chaotically
Yep.
tolerant alum, had a big interception
Did.
on Patrick Mahomes. I jumped out of my seat. I was like, oh my God, that's my guy. But again, chaotically intolerant alum, love to see him making a big play there. So congrats to him. I'm sure his family was like going crazy. I mean, it's not every day you get to pick off the GOAT, arguably the GOAT, top three quarterback of all time. So congrats to him. Love to see it.
That was big.
Um, and then, Mike, give me something on baseball. Give me a little something on baseball. We'll spend a couple minutes because the playoff race is heating up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the National League's going to be great. I can't see anybody in the American League actually winning the World Series. Uh, the Guardians keep finding a way to win. They pulled one out tonight against Minnesota. Got a chance to strengthen their lead there. Orioles playing very poorly, too reliant on the home run, catching up to them. Injuries catching up to them. I will say this: the Dodgers look inevitable. Phillies maybe look inevitable, right? Or inevitable that they're going to clash in the NLCS. The Brewers have just every day. I'm just okay. This is the day the Brewers become the Brewers. This is the day. They had a game yesterday. They almost came back from 5 runs down. They lost 11-10 to Arizona. I think I'd have to check. I think they've scored the most two-out runs in baseball. That's a huge stat. And they were beating up on the Phillies tonight. They have a chance, an outside chance, to get the number one seed and a decent chance to get a first-round bye. I'm starting to hesitantly believe a little more each day in the Milwaukee
That's what they want you
Brewers.
to do.
That is what they want you to do. Yeah. Well, I'm not falling for it with the Twins. Thankfully, they're reverting to their old ways. I had a chance to see the Red Sox beat the Yankees in person. I picked the one right game to go to this week. That was
You
That
should have
was
gone
good.
to all of them.
What's
Why weren't
that?
you at all of them? We needed you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I had to be. I have to be careful. The Yankees, I think, are 1-4, or 1-5 when I go this year. So I got to save it for when the Orioles come here if I have a chance to go to those games. But um, yeah, Dodgers. They look strong, but Glass now being out for the year, interesting. We'll see. There's talk about Otani, but I don't think he would start. But use him in like a swing role or something. That's a frightening thought if he
Yeah.
ends up pitching at all in the postseason.
And I think last time we talked, we were mocking the Mets.
We
Now the
were
Mets are playing actual good baseball, like
walked
legitimate
off.
good
Yep.
baseball right now.
Walked off the Nats tonight. Look out for the White Sox. They are on the verge of winning their third straight. They're rolling the Angels tonight, who are, I think, maybe arguably not far off as how bad they are versus the White Sox. But the White Sox. Okay, let me do the math real quick before we jump up. I think they got to go now, assuming they win tonight. I want to say 6-5 to at least just tie the record, which is still pretty incredible.
That's
I think they're
doable.
36 and 115, but they have 5 games against the Angels. 5 games against the Angels. They have the Padres for 3. That's going to be tough. And then they have the Tigers the last weekend. Oh, by the way, shout out to the Tigers. They are charging hard. They were down, I think, 6-1 tonight. Came back, took the lead. I don't know what they're doing since against the Royals. If they win tonight, they would be a game and a half out of the third wild
Wow.
card spot.
Wow.
And just think
Yeah.
about if Houston ends up being the 3 and Detroit goes there. Of course, you have the AJ Hinch storyline against his old team. But Detroit, if nothing else, they've got the likely Cy Young winner starting game 1 in Tarek Skubal. Young, energetic, momentum, house money, all that. I don't know how far they could get, but sure would be fun to see it.
Yeah. Well, we will be planning some sort of baseball preview show coming
Mm.
up. We might have a big guest as well. I haven't even told you about this one, Mike.
Oh, can't
This one's a
wait.
pretty cool one. But make sure to like, comment, subscribe. I know we got the episode out a little bit late, few hours, whatever. But again, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Go check out draftamerica.com, and we will see you next week.